Tonight on 2020.
Oh my God.
The gathering storm, full of sound and fury.
Wow, this is huge.
Shattering the peace of a rural town.
What the heck is going on?
A race to take cover as a monster twister engulfs everything.
You could hear cars hit the building.
Get a piece of paper, write down everybody you see that's alive.
Who would live? Who would die?
We got people trapped underneath the house.
My baby's in there.
Gripping video and a minute-by-minute account of being blown away. Twisted terror. Now, John Stossel.
Good evening. Elizabeth Vargas is off tonight. What you've just seen and what you're about to see is extraordinary footage of what one witness called a rolling black monster of death. And thanks to incredible amateur videos, you'll be there in the center of the storm. ABC's Sam Champion reports.
Tonight, you're going to meet a killer, a kind of indiscriminate force that can come and go in less than a minute. The target, the lives of an entire community. The weapon, the full force of Mother Nature, because I'm talking about a tornado, one of the biggest and most powerful that we've ever seen. It practically wiped out this tiny town in Iowa with winds strong enough to level a house in a matter of seconds and fickle enough to leave the house down the street practically untouched. Many of the people in this town faced certain death, and for some reason they got a chance to say, this is not our time to die.
Parkersburg, Iowa. Population 1,900. It's a small farming community in America's heartland. Here, everyone knows their neighbors. Family and faith come first. But one May afternoon, the tightly woven fabric of this tiny community was torn apart in a way they never dreamed of.
It's over Parkersburg. Yeah.
A massive tornado of historic dimensions changed the lives of everyone in its path.
Yeah, go right to my
God. Memorial Day weekend, 2008. That Sunday begins like any other in Parkersburg. Church in the morning and an afternoon filled with picnics and family.
It was a pretty hot day. I drove my motorcycle because it was cool, you know, it'd cool me off and it'd be a good ride.
For Chief of Police Chris Loring, who is off duty, it is a great day to hang out with his wife and children on his in-laws' farm just 5 miles outside of town.
I don't remember having any preconceived notions that anything was going to happen bad.
What about the forecast itself?
But we have stormy days all the time in May and June in Iowa, and it's just, quite frankly, I liked storms, past tense.
A little after 4 p.m., they can hear thunder, and the sky starts changing.
I remember the green sky.
When did you notice that the sky was that color?
With that constant grumbling from the sky. And I can tell you what that shade of green is in my head right now. To describe it, kind of impossible, but if I would see it, I'd probably get a jump in my gut.
Before they even realize what's going on, hail starts falling. But still, the family isn't thinking much about it. In fact, they see it as a chance to take in the power of Mother Nature.
What did you tell your kids about the storms that day?
You know, I am a promoter of not being afraid of anything. My goal was to get my daughter outside on the deck and just say, hey, look at this. Isn't this an amazing thing?
I mean, that's just a part of summer. Bad storms and humidity.
Alicia Loring is Chief Loring's wife.
Then it started getting really bad outside, and so everyone came in and we were just, you know, kind of looking out the window. We could see the hail coming down.
I mean, it was big. It was massive hail.
And I remember my dad saying, and it's definitely something that'll stick out in all of our minds, is that whenever there's hail like this, there's a tornado somewhere.
Back in Parkersburg at a restaurant called the Pizza Ranch, Tyann Lester has just finished her morning shift as manager.
I remember walking out the door thinking, oh, you know, tomorrow will be another day.
Although Tyann has the rest of the day off, her oldest son, Damien, is scheduled to work that afternoon. He's going to drop her off at home, then head back to the pizza ranch.
Now, when you're getting ready to send him off to work, you're really kind of not thinking about anything other than this is Sunday dinner rush.
Yep, at that time.
When did you know that the weather had turned?
My husband called me, which is something he would rarely ever do, to call and say, hey, there's a tornado warning for Butler County.
Tornado watches themselves do continue for virtually the entire TV9 viewing area.
Usually anytime a tornado warning comes on, nobody thinks anything of it because it never does anything. But this day it didn't feel right.
Despite Tyann's nagging feelings about the weather, her 16-year-old son still has to get to work.
And I thought we should just keep going home. Something didn't feel right, and he looked at me and said, I think it's going to be a slow night at Pizza Ranch, Mom.
Against her better judgment, she lets him go.
And he asked me for an extra shirt, and I gave him one and sent him off.
Everywhere in town, people are glancing out the window and starting to notice the weather.
We said that, man, it feels like a good storm. It was so humid out and the air was so heavy and stuff.
Dennis and Sharon Shipper have been married for over 40 years. They live in the same house where they raised their children. Just weeks earlier, the Shippers made an impulse purchase, a weather radio that linked directly to the National Weather Service.
We were in Walmart, and Dennis happened to see him sitting there, and, $30. Okay, sure. Put it in the cart. We'll take it home.
People have been talking about them, and I just thought, for $30, I just thought it'd be some kind of a security,
Around 4:30 p.m., Dennis is napping on the couch when the weather radio goes off. The Shippers immediately get on the phone to their children, who also live in Parkersburg. First, they call their son Dalen. He's already headed down to his basement with his wife, Amy, and the Shippers' granddaughter. Now their biggest concern is daughter Stacy and her family. They are particularly vulnerable driving back to town.
This part of your family was actually going to a graduation party.
And then they were heading to come back to Parkersburg to the graduation here in town.
That high school graduation party is for John Simon, a local football and wrestling champ. He's decorated the restaurant with his trophies and awards and is waiting for the whole town to show up. His family even put an ad in the local paper to announce the celebration.
My dad owned a bar and restaurant for 40-some years, and everybody knew us and we knew everybody, so we didn't want to forget anybody.
His girlfriend Chelsea comes early to help, but his younger brother Jordan is nowhere to be found.
My brother just kind of was in and out of the graduation, so he wasn't really there the whole time.
About 4:45, right before the start of his party, the dark clouds become impossible to ignore.
So then we flipped on the news, and we were looking at the news for a while, and when you get a bad storm over, it turns red. Well, there is a black dot over Parkersburg.
Isolated storm cells that really have developed quite rapidly in this very...
Right then, I was like, crap, nobody's going to be coming to my graduation.